Okay, my first question is, why are you all still here? First question, guy, who's,
I guess when I was thinking about that, it makes perfect sense, because in the traditional world, back when I had that life, we used to say repetition equals retention. So if they're seeing 3 different versions of their ad, you're gonna remember you and all that kind of stuff. But the thing I wanted to say is that, how do you know you should be giving away a discount? I think a lot of times that's a hard thing to understand as you're a marketer and a retailer is you may be giving away a discount to a prospect customer that didn't need the discount to incent.
yeah,
And
that's
so
a
you
business
have to
decision.
do a lot of testing around that, because you're actually giving away margin and giving away profit share. That visitor maybe didn't need that discount to convert.
I think that's an excellent point. I think that's the first thing we resort to is, you know, let me give you a better price, and that's often, you know, it's not very good for your shareholders. All right, come on up. Question in the back.
Yeah, my question is about the ad testing. It seems to me that trying to find the winner or being able to find a total winner is more difficult in ad groups that have greater variation among the keywords. Can you solve that problem by putting together smaller, more defined ad groups that have very focused keywords that don't experience that variation between one ad and another?
Your point is very well taken. I made the point that relying on multiple ads in a single ad group will prop up a bad ad group, will prop up an unfocused ad group. I'm not by any means suggesting that that's a good way to do things. But even if you were to narrow down the proposition to exact match, okay, you don't know who's at the other end of that search wire, okay? You don't know whether they're young or old, you know, man or woman, black or white, American, Spanish, American, you know, French. You don't know who that person is. You have no information about that. So if you've got populations that, bisect like that, the idea is that you give, it does reduce, actually, AdSense works even better when you have completely disparate messages. My theory, and again, it's completely untested, it's just a theory at this point. But your point is exceedingly well taken. Jonathan?
Do you think that maybe we've just been doing A/B testing the wrong way? Instead of looking at the click-through rate of the ads, we should ignore the click-through rate on the ads, and we should simply look at the click-through rate of the group for a period of time. So you take your 6 ads, and you have your click-through rate, and now you turn 3 of them off for a month, and you look at your click-through rate. And you compare those 2 situations to figure out which is better. Is that a better methodology?
Actually, one of the problems with this particular model is there's no way to practically test it, because you can't set an ad group with one great ad against another ad group that has that great ad plus 3 other mediocre ads, or well performing but not as high performing as that. So I think the best you can do is try to find a rotation that eliminates skew for seasonality, day of week, etc. And so the testing that we're setting up now is based on this sort of an example. Take half the United States and break it up into, take one ad group with just one ad, take another ad group with your 3 ads or 2 ads, take 20, how many states do we have? 50? 50 states? You take 25 states and 25 states, and you run them for a week, and then you run them for, or a period of time, and you flip them. So you eliminate the seasonality bias, perhaps, and also the time of day bias would go away. There's no perfect way to practically test this, unfortunately.
And now I need a motion after trying to figure that out.
Unfortunately, but I think your point, the point was made that it seems intuitive, and oftentimes our intuitive feels should not be subjugated to the myopic view that we often take of what the data is telling us, because oftentimes we're way too narrowly focused.
So I have a question for Barb, and she's on the site links. Is it your experience that shows up primarily on brand terms? And have you seen it on more generic terms?
I've seen it on more generic terms and on other ad groups as well. Personally, my experience is because we've enabled ad extensions, they've become just so dominant.
Right.
So what I did, I want them to show up on brand terms. We have one brand campaign where this one client actually has 2 websites. But traffic comes in on his main corporate name.
Mhm.
So I've disabled the ad extension, so no images will show. The data feed will not talk to that campaign. We have site links that will show up, so when somebody's searching on his name, and he was on Extreme Makeover Home Edition a number of times this year, and they're showing his logo, so we're getting traffic on the logo. So the site link then is showing, you know, this product line to this website and this product line to that website. So that's working out really nicely.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Question?
So if we enable this new broad match, are you gonna still keep phrase and exact?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Sure. Phrase is still good, because if you know the word order, there's still a slight bump in quality score towards the match type that's the most exact, the most precise. But what it allows you to do is experiment with broad match and bring in finding terms without all the crazy crap that. Actually, it's actually a throwback to the way broad match used to work for any of those of you that have been doing this for way too long. But it actually it just gets rid of that whole expanded broad match debacle that we've been living through for the past few years. Google's sheer price reflects that.
Do you do anything?
They work in combination with negative match very, very well. Yeah, so you wouldn't negate, you wouldn't stop doing your negative keyword matching strategy, but this just gives you an ability to use broad match for its purpose, which is to casting a somewhat wider net to find the types of queries that people are actually searching on, because you can't think of them all, but it keeps the crazy matches from coming in, okay? You know, for example, one of our clients does those Coumadin meter, the finger stick tests. So people that are on Coumadin can test their own blood, just like a glucose meter. Well, Coumadin has another way to say it, which is warfarin. Okay, one's generic and one's the brand name. Google thinks they're approximately the same. Okay, but the words as they appear in the ad and the people that would use those 2 terms actually turn out to be 2 different populations. So we can now just say in our warfarin campaigns, if we put a plus sign in it, once they announce this to the U.S., by the way, which should be shortly. I'm giving you a heads up on this so you can start to think of how creatively this will help you reshape your ad group. It allows us to make sure that terms going to warfarin see ads that show warfarin, and terms that have Coumadin go into ad groups that show Coumadin in the keyword. So it's just a way to make sure your ads and your keywords are nicely tied, even though you're using the broad match.
What about compound match?
What about compound match?
Can you do plus and then put 2 words in quotes so that it's going to have to include that phrase, but might have some other stuff too?
Jonathan and I we gave proposals to Microsoft and Google. Both said how they should implement a programmatic language to allow, you know, includes and that sort of thing to create really spectacular ad groups where the same word just needs to be repeated over and over again. But no, the answer is no, you can't combine match types. It'll all be broad.
But you can do it with negative. You can have a negative phrase in it. There's a compound match type is available.
Well, you can't put them in the same search phrase. You can have it at the ad group level or the campaign level, but
Right.
you can't do it at the keyword level. That's right. Minus plus this.
You can't do minus and plus. No.
You can't do minus and plus together. The universe will explode. Well, unless there are any other questions, I want to thank you all very much for your attention, and I want to thank especially Barb, but she did all the heavy lifting for today. That was a ton of information. I saw everyone taking very copious notes, and I'm sure she would love to hear from you. You know, if you have any questions about this going forward.
Absolutely.